be successful, first thing you need to learn is the market. Notice it doesn't say, go out and find a deal. Go out and find an apartment. It starts with learning the market first. All markets are cyclical. They're cyclical. San Diego goes at a completely different rate than even Los Angeles. San Diego goes at a different rate than Denver, or Dallas, or Orlando, or anywhere across the country. You have to find a market first. Where do you want to invest first? Go find out the information on the market. Then we'll worry about the rest of it. So, would you like to learn a little bit about San Diego? Excellent. So here's some information on San Diego. Your recent job growth is a little over 2.2%. That's in the last 12 months. Your projected job growth over the next 10 years is over 35%, actually almost 40%. That's 4% a year. Yeah, wow. What does job growth mean in population? This is the feedback part. Population, what happens when jobs go up? Population goes up. What happens when population goes up? Traffic gets bad, doesn't it? But what else happens if you are a real estate investor? Do you like population coming in if you're a real estate investor? Yes. Why? What happens to your rents? Your rents go up because scarcity becomes, apartments and homes become more scarce. Builders have to build more. It costs builders more to build, so what happens to rents and housing prices? They go up until you have more supply than demand, which is what happened in 2006 to 2009, and then what happened to the market? It crashed, right? In some areas it went very, very hard. In some areas it wasn't quite so bad. Unemployment right here in San Diego is about 4.9%. Nationally, it's 5.2%. Your population has increased 25.5% since 2000. That's actually not as much as I thought it was going to be, considering San Diego is so awesome. I actually found out San Antonio has gone up over 57% since 2000. And if you want the exact opposite, go to Detroit. It's gone down 25% since 2000. Because everybody's leaving town. But things are actually picking up, even in Detroit. Detroit filed for bankruptcy 3 years ago. Did you guys know that? They filed for bankruptcy 3 years ago, and now there's all kinds of new development going on in Detroit. Not just Detroit City itself. Actually, I shouldn't say Detroit City. There's actually an area called West Detroit. There's 14 major apartment projects going on in the metro area of Detroit. 11 of them are in West Detroit. There's apartments going in, hundreds of units are going in, new businesses, new restaurants, new movie theaters. It's booming like crazy. Okay, here's a couple other things going on in San Diego. You got 37,600 new jobs were added last year. They're projecting that another 37,400 will be added this year. Because of sustained job growth, guess what happens to the population? Population goes up, vacancy goes down. When vacancy goes down, rents go up. Rents go up. Here's another thing. I don't know if you knew this or not, but there's 53 Navy vessels that are home ported here in San Diego. That's expected to rise to 84 by 2023. What happens when they bring in all these extra ships? What happens when all these ships come in, guys? You get more jobs, right? You get more sailors, you get more people fixing the boats and taking care of and supporting all those Navy personnel. That means your job growth is going to continue to be sustained. Your vacancy dropped in 2006 to 3.9%. And even though you're going to add another 4,140 units in 2017, the vacancy is still expected to drop another 1/10 of a point. Yeah, wow. That's a lot. So in case you haven't heard this before, that's something called absorption rate. Absorption rate is when new units come on the market, how quickly are they being absorbed? So in other words, this is telling me that even though there's 4,140 new units coming on in 2017, every single one of those is expected to be absorbed this year. And more. And more because this dropped. Now it's not that big of a dramatic drop, but when you add 4,140 units and you still get a vacancy drop, that's a pretty decent turnaround. Okay? Rents are also anticipated to increase by 5.8%, and that was after they increased by 5.6% last year. Those of you that have rental properties, have you been raising your rent 5 to 6% a year? If you're not, you should think about it. Now, keep in mind that's an average for the entire metro area. So there's some areas that have gone up 7 and 8%. Some areas have only gone up 2 to 3%. On average, though, it's been going up pretty well. Here's another graph that just shows you what's going on when it comes to asking rents. Just another thing it shows you. When vacancy goes down, what happens to rents? Vacancy goes down, rents go up. Here's another interesting chart. It says permits and deliveries. If you notice on permits and deliveries, look at the permits that are being pulled. There's a ton of permits being pulled, but what's happened to the deliveries? There's a ton of permits. The gray bar or the blue bar, however you want to look at it, those are permits. The gold bars are deliveries. What's going on? They're not doing them. They're pulling permits and they're not getting them built. There's a lot of areas around the country where they don't have enough skilled labor to do the work. They're pulling permits and they don't have enough skilled labor to actually get the jobs done. So what do you think is going to continue to happen in the San Diego area? Look at all the permits that are being pulled and they can't even finish. Here they finished less than half. Here they finished what? About 40%. Here maybe about half in 2017 is what's projected. What do you think is going to happen to rents, guys? They're going to keep on going up. Here's another place that you can look. So if San Diego isn't your hot spot, you want to look for someplace else in the country. By the way, the beautiful thing about real estate, it is everywhere. So if you guys want to start taking trips and writing them off on your business, because if you're a real estate investor, you have a business that you're running, yes? Yes. Find a place in the country where you can actually go out and buy a property and write your trips off as business trips. How many of you have family in other states? Great. Would you like to go visit them and write it off as a business trip? Go buy a property near your family. Now, of course, if you're somebody like me that doesn't want to visit your family, go buy a property in an area that you do want to visit. I like to visit places that are warm, so I have properties in Nevada, Arizona, and Florida, and even Texas, because it gets really cold in Denver. Unlike what you guys call cold down here, it gets really, really cold. So I want to go someplace that I can actually golf in January. Of course, you could probably golf down here with a jacket on and earmuffs. But here's what's happening. This is actually a report you can get online for free from IRR.com. IRR.com. They put this out at the beginning of each year, and they show where they think each market is going to end up during the year. This particular report shows that San Diego, as far as they're concerned, is still in the expansion phase. If you notice, there's 4 portions to this. There's recovery, expansion, hypersupply, and recession. IRR.com thinks that San Diego is in the middle phase of expansion. But wait, there's more. Here's another report. This is from Black Creek Capital Markets. This one here actually shows that they think San Diego is already about to tip over into hypersupply. Notice it's on number 11. By the way, these diamonds here, 1 to 6, also means recovery. 6 to 11 means expansion. 11 to 14 is hypersupply. And 14 down to 1 is recession. Don't be confused. Just because this list is down here does not put it in recession. It comes down from the 11. So 11 to 14 means that it's actually in hypersupply. They think that San Diego is already tipped. So just another source. As I mentioned, don't take one person's word for it. Go out and get multiple sources. So one thinks the market is still expanding. Another one thinks that it's about to tip into hypersupply. It's right on the verge between 11 and 12, between expansion and hypersupply. Okay? I'm sorry, this one here? This is from Black Creek Capital Markets. BlackCreekCapitalMarkets.com. Okay? Here's some more stuff coming up. This is from RealPage. San Diego's been known for stability. People come here and they don't leave. You probably noticed that with all the traffic on the freeway. There's a lot of people that come out from the Midwest. They come down here. They love it. They don't go anywhere. If you notice, the vacancy in this area is actually pretty consistent. It ranges from about 3 to 4%. That's it. It's pretty consistent. Also, because of the slow and steady pattern, it makes for some great investing. But over the last couple of years, rental rates have gone up over 6% each of the last 3 years, which is a little bit higher than the than the San Diego average. Another thing that's defining San Diego is the characteristics of the younger people that are moving in and staying here. 1/4 of the people that live in San Diego are between 20 and 34 years of age. It is a very, very, very young city. That means it's also very vibrant. People like living here. People love the lifestyle. Do you think people are going to move if they're moving here in their 20s and 30s? No, they're going to continue to stay here. So if you haven't been investing in rental properties yet in San Diego or this surrounding area, it's time to start before you miss the boat. Okay? If you think your metro area is not the area for you, because I'll tell you right now, San Diego is a hot market, but the average apartment is about $240,000 a door. That's pretty high. But ratio-wise, it's the same. You get more rent, even though you pay a higher price for the property. So you could go to another area of the country, and $240,000 could actually buy you an entire building. I'm actually going to show you one of those here in a second. But if you think your area is not the area you want to invest in, or you're looking for an area, maybe you want to go visit your family in some other area, try looking for a different metro area. Joe said earlier that, he asked if now was a good time to buy. How many of you think now is a good time to buy? How many think now is not a good time to buy? As you said, right, you're both right. And part of it is because it depends on the area. It's all cyclical and it all depends on the market. In some areas, it is a good time to buy if you're going to be buying full price, expecting the value to go up. In other areas, if you're going to pay full price, you're going to be in a world of hurt in a couple of years when vacancy starts to go up, rents start to go down, and then all of a sudden the value of your property starts to drop. Another thing you do too is in a really hot market, instead of going out and buying something new and paying full price, why not buy something that needs some work? How many of you, by show of hands, do fix and flips or fix and holds? Not that many. Interesting. So what do you guys do then? There's only a couple people that are doing fix and flips and fix and holds. What's everybody else doing? Just learning? Don't want to answer? I look at people and they're like, don't call me, don't call me. Learning? Learning how to do apartment buildings? Mobile home parks? Excellent. What are you doing?
Just buy and hold.
Buy and hold single family homes? Okay. Duplexes? Excellent. You might want to change your strategy. For those of you that aren't familiar with doing rehabs, or even if you love doing rehabs, why are you doing one at a time when you could be doing 10 at a time, or 20 at a time, or 30 at a time? Imagine going into a store like Home Depot or Lowe's, instead of buying one refrigerator and one dishwasher and one range, why not go in and buy 10 or 20 at a time? Do you think they might be willing to give you a discount if you bring that kind of volume into them? They do, guys. You go into their little construction or their little commercial area and tell them you want to buy that many of units, they will actually give you more and more discounts. You will save more money. Imagine buying 20 rooms of carpet or 20 rooms of flooring instead of one. Do you think you might get an extra discount? Yes, it pays to be thinking in multiples. Another thing you might want to consider is moving to a different type of commercial asset. In some areas, it doesn't make sense to buy apartments. It's now shifted to retail centers, strip malls, and actual shopping centers. By the way, all the stuff that I'm going to teach you here in just a second, it's all transferable, whether you're buying mobile home parks, apartments, storage facilities, retail centers, hotels, like the one that we're in. All of the information is exactly the same. The only thing it changes are the ratios. The formulas are the same, the language is the same, terminology is the same. If you're looking for areas that are more affordable than San Diego, these are the top 5 in the country. Let's see, which one are you guys buying in?
We're in Kansas City.
Kansas City. By the way, this is an article that was put out by Bloomberg. What they looked at is they wanted to know, or they looked at how much of someone's wallet went towards paying their rent or their mortgage payment. Des Moines came in on top. It was a little bit less than 18% of their income went to paying for their living expenses. Followed, of course, by Pittsburgh, Baltimore, Minneapolis, and Kansas City. Here's another report. This was put out by Forbes. They basically, somebody put in an article and said, these are what we think are going to be the top 10 real estate markets in the country in 2017. Wait. No cameras. All right. Where are half of these markets located? In Florida. In Florida. There's a lot of people, as they get older, they don't like the cold. Guess where they move? South. Anywhere south where they don't have to worry about the snow and the ice and everything else that goes along with it. So if you notice, 5 of the top 10 markets are in Florida. They're working through distressed inventory? Yeah, well, that's sped up since about 2011, 2012. Should be a lot faster now. By the way, notice there's 2 northern climates. There's Grand Rapids and Colorado Springs. There's a lot of people that are moving from Denver to Colorado Springs because homes are more affordable. Rent is more affordable. So they want to stay in Denver because they like the mountain lifestyle, the outdoor activity with the snow, the skiing, the hiking, the camping, the biking. So now they're moving down to Colorado Springs. Where are the rest of them at, though? Notice up here where the rest, besides Florida. South, south, south. Everything's in the south. The rest of them, from Nashville down to Orlando, those are other markets that I see that are actually doing extremely well. Other than Sacramento, where are they all located? Besides out of state. South. The population and demographics, everything is moving south. Here's another interesting part to learn. People ask me all the time, Anthony, is there money out there to buy apartments? And in this case, are apartments going to continue to stay strong? Well, yes, they are going to continue to stay strong for a period of time. Why? Because there's a movement from home ownership to renting by choice. I think that happened to a lot of people back in 2007 to 2009. Either they were foreclosed on, they saw someone that was foreclosed, whether it was a family member, a neighbor, a coworker, and they decided that they did not want to go through that themselves. So there's a lot of hesitation on some people's parts to go out and start buying homes again. They're still renting. Another thing that I'm seeing too is millennials. There's a lot of millennials that have their world in the palm of their hand. As long as they have an internet connection and their cell phone, they can go anywhere in the world and communicate with anyone. They don't need to or want to be tied down. If you rent an apartment building, what's the longest period you actually usually have to stay there? Yeah, most apartment managers are going to have you sign a one-year lease, right? So the most they have to be tied up is 1 year. What can they do after a year when that year's up? They can move anywhere they want. They get a new girlfriend, new boyfriend, they get married, they can go anywhere they want within 12 months. There's a lot of people that aren't buying homes anymore. As a matter of fact, how many of you have heard of Apartments.com? Apartments.com? You know Jeff Goldblum, their spokesperson? They've got one of their commercials where he comes out on stage and there's a guy standing there in the stocks. You know what the stocks are? You got that wooden thing over your head and your arms, you're standing there like this, and you can't go anywhere, and it's really uncomfortable. And Jeff Goldblum comes walking up, and the guy's got a piece of paper in his hand. He walks up and he says, "Hey, what do you got there in your hand?" He goes, "This is my 30-year mortgage." And it's a young guy who's got his head stuck in there, right? What are they trying to do? They're marketing to millennials because they know they don't want to be what? Stuck for 30 years. They don't look at real estate as an investment. They look at it as a prison sentence. So there's a lot more people that are choosing to rent by choice. As a matter of fact, here's a graph that was put out. If you notice down here, it says almost 14% of people that live in a metropolitan area where they can actually afford to buy a house choose not to. They want to continue to rent. Even over here, if you notice from 2005 to 2015, there were more households turned into rental households or more rental households created, 9 million of them, than any other 10-year period in history. If you own rental property, you've probably seen that influx, and your rental rates and your income should be going up tremendously. Here's another graph that actually shows where home ownership is. Home ownership historically usually runs between 64 and 65%. What happened from 95 to 2005? Interest rates went down, so what happened to home ownership? It went up. It went up, and for some cases, artificially high. What happened in 2005, 2006? What happened in 2005, 2006, gang? Everybody freaked out, right? You had, people talk about the mortgage meltdown. The mortgage rates or the mortgages melted down because a lot of people panicked. Not because it had to, but because a lot of people panicked. There was a lot of people who had homes that could afford their homes and could afford the monthly payments. And they looked around. As a matter of fact, I had one of these down in Florida. I had ones down in Florida that I sold to other people. I bought them out of the dirt for between $150,000 and $155,000. I sold one in October of 2005 for $244,000. In January, we sold one for $229,000. In March, we sold one for $219,000. Do you see a pattern? By the way, that pattern didn't stop until those homes, those same exact homes, brand new, 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, out of the ground, 1,600 square feet in Florida, were selling for $40,000 to $60,000. Yeah. By the way, I still own one. Yes. Didn't get built in time, so we still have it turned into a rental property. It's doing okay. We're cash flowing. And the good news is it's back up to about $120,000. Yes. Eventually, one of these days, it'll be back up where it was. But like I said, as long as it's still cash flowing, I don't care what the value is, simply because When does it make a difference when what the value is of the home? When you're selling it or refinancing it, right? Until I'm ready to do that, it doesn't matter anyway. It's still cash flowing. It's still making me money. It's like having my own little bank. Okay? So here's what's happened over the years, though. If you notice, it looks now, because of what happened in 2005, 2006, when everybody panicked, because they were looking across the street. One of the people that I bought the home or sold the home to for $244 is now looking at the homes across the street selling for $40 to $60. It's like, why should I keep paying the mortgage on this? My home is $200,000 in the hole. And people just walked away. That compounded the problem. And now what you see is because of the fear, it's actually gone. Home ownership has gone below equilibrium of 64%. As a matter of fact, it's below 63, and it's still dropping. Eventually, the pendulum will swing back, and it'll go back up around 65, 66%, and it'll keep on going up and down. All right, you guys want to learn some of the terminology that you need to learn? Yes?
What do you think will drive the home ownership back up?
What do I think will drive home ownership back up?
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a shift in mentality of ownership, and owning your own home is actually a good thing, and it's a way to build equity.
How's that shift do you think is going to
It's going to vary. It just depends on, matter of fact, what happened, what really drove it a lot back in the early 2000s when real estate was really, really hot, was a lot of people kind of doing what I'm doing with the investment strategy, and it just happened to be a whole bunch of people interested at the same time. Interest rates fell dramatically, and they were coming down. People were going out. I mean, look at Ron LeGrand and who's the other late night guy? There's Ron LeGrand. There's no, the older guy on single family homes. Carlton Sheets, yeah, right. They were selling this stuff in the middle of the night. People that couldn't sleep, and they were talking about how easy it was to go out and buy a home. And then interest rates dropped, and all of a sudden everything compounded, and all of a sudden what you had is everybody going out in a herd mentality. Will that happen again? Yes. Will it happen to the extent that it happened in the early 2000s? Maybe, maybe not. And I think it's going to be a combination of those things. People are going to want to own their own home. They're going to want to be able to afford it. They're going to get tired of paying rent. But right now, there's so much disposable income for a lot of people. 14% of people that are living in cities can afford homes, and they're still choosing to pay rent. Okay? Yes?
So along those lines, historically speaking, when the stocks crash, people tend to go to a safe haven in real estate, right?
Well, so that's what happened in the early 2000s. To say that when stocks crash, everybody's going to move always from stocks to real estate is not necessarily, that's not my forte to answer that question. Could it happen again? Absolutely. There's a lot of people that go from stocks to gold. There's a lot of people right now that are going to gold. So, and if you look at the stock market right now, there's a lot of people that think it's totally overinflated, and there's no rhyme or reason. There's no fundamentals to support the stock market. So once it crashes, and it will, just like the real estate market's going to crash, is there going to be any money left to pull out of the stock market to put into single-family homes or to some type of investment property, like apartments? Right? If they had a crystal ball.
In this, globally seen, I mean, Germany and other countries, their home ownership rate is about 33, and they're pretty happy people.
Well, okay. I don't know if I'd use that as an equivalent because most places in Europe, they don't get 30 and 40-year mortgages. The mortgages are a lot shorter, and usually you have to put down 50%.
Not only that, there's inflation adjusted. So in America, we are practically financial haven, except for Canada, where you can get the 5-year mortgage. And if we put that one in place here, that could drive up home ownership because then people really could make money again with their homes.
There you go. What's that? The velocity? What was your velocity class? What was it called?
Velocity banking.
Velocity banking. There you go. That's what you're talking about. Paying off a home in 5 years. All right. By the way, one of the promises I make in every single one of my presentations, I will stick around and answer all of your questions. At the end of the night, if you have questions, I will stick around and continue to answer your questions. So I want to get back on track real quick because I got a ton of stuff here to go through. And Daryl said we only had until 11 tonight. So I want to make sure that's what you said, right? 11? Oh, it was 11 tomorrow morning. Okay. All right. So some of the terminology you need to learn. First off, here's a pseudo income statement. It's called an APOD. APOD stands for Annual Property Operating Data. If you notice, it says income minus expenses equals NOI, NOI minus debt service equals cash flow. Income is actually made up of 3 components. SGI, which means it's scheduled gross income. How much income should this property generate, assuming every single unit is occupied? Now, if you have a 100-unit property, what are the chances of every single unit being occupied and everybody paying rent on time? 0 or less than 0, right? But that is how you look at a commercial property. You look and assume that if you had market rent and everybody was paying it, every unit was full, that's the scheduled gross income that should be coming from that property. Then you'll notice that then you subtract out vacancy, and then you add in something called other income. So let's talk about vacancy. Your choices are 5% building vacancy or market vacancy. Building vacancy is the historical vacancy for that specific property. Market vacancy is the historical vacancy for that type of property in the market. Let me ask you a question. When you're calculating or adjusting your numbers based on making a purchase, which one of those 3 do you use? You've been to the class before. Yes. Which one to use? Who says 5%? By the way, so here's the rule. I'm going to ask you a question. Everybody gets 1 vote and everybody must vote. Got it? Everybody's like, no, I'm still not going to do it. Who says 5%? Who says building vacancy? Who says market vacancy? Excellent. Here's the answer. By the way, does anybody other than Imran have the real answer, the correct answer? Whichever one is highest. When you're buying the property out of these 3, you want to use whichever one is highest. That's more conservative for you. Never go below 5%. Other income are things that are the income that comes in from the property that is not rent related. Laundry, vending, storage, parking. Those are some of the biggies. Anything else? Late fees. What else? Pet fees. Anything else? Garage fees? What else? What kind of amenities? Gyms or a theater or a clubhouse that somebody could rent? I had one that said they had a concierge service. Somebody would actually come pick up their trash for them. Like, wow, that sounds like a pretty fancy place. That's not one of the places that I buy. You have to take out your own trash. Cell phone towers, another great place. Advertising. If you live on a major street, you can put up a billboard potentially or a banner on the side of your property to generate extra income. All of those things would go under the topic of other income. So when you take them all, income, assuming 100% occupancy with no vacancy, then subtract out the vacancy, 5% building vacancy or market vacancy, whichever is highest. Then you add in your other income, laundry, vending, parking, storage, late fees, pet fees, things like that. That gives you your effective gross income, also known as EGI. Our expenses are broken into 6 major categories. The 6 major categories actually have an acronym that you should memorize. The acronym is TIMMUR, T-I-M-M-U-R. Stands for taxes, insurance, management, maintenance, utilities, and repair/reserves, or repair/replacements. Now, notice neither the M says mortgage payment. Is your mortgage payment an expense? Yes, it is. But guess what? It's not an operating expense. These are operating expenses. Can you operate or buy a property without a mortgage? Absolutely. But you will have these on any property. Now, for some of you, that 4th one down, the second M, is going to be a stretch. Because some of you don't want to hire a management company. Some of you think you can do it better than the management company. You know what? You're probably right. You probably can do better than the management company. But let me ask you a question. What's more valuable, time or money? Time. If time is more valuable, then why aren't you hiring a management company? Now, you guys may not have it out here, the issue out here, but back in the Midwest and the Northeast, where the rents are about $400 a month, $500 a month, they have a really hard time wanting to hire a management company because they think that extra $40 is they're gonna lose a lot of money by hiring a property management company. But wouldn't you rather be out doing something that you'd rather be doing instead of going and clearing a clogged toilet or showing an apartment or showing a single-family home or something like that? I know I would be. That's one of the reasons I'm able to be here doing what I love doing, which is teaching, instead of worrying about my 1,700 units, because I have professional property management companies at every single one of the properties. They take care of everything. They're the ones that get called at 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning when a toilet gets clogged or the building catches on fire. And when you have 1,700 units, trust me, they will catch on fire. Some of them you hope catch on fire faster than others, but that doesn't happen. But notice on here with maintenance, with management, even if you want to manage the property yourself, you need to add the expense into the operating expenses. Because if you don't do it now, what's going to happen in 2 or 3 years when you get burned out? Where's that money coming from? There's a beautiful kitchen. I love the bathroom. Bathroom's awesome. There's another shot of a different bathroom. By the way, if you notice, did you notice the vacancy on the numbers? There were people living in this, and they were okay with it. Yuck. So what did they do? They bought it for $600,000. But wait, there's more. Look at that. They got the seller, this DMC, they got the seller to give them a $75,000 deferred maintenance credit. So they thought they were only going to have to come up with, real quickly here, they got a 75% LTV loan, so $450,000 from a lender for the $600,000 purchase price. That means they have to come up with another $150,000 plus closing costs. So the seller gave them $75,000. The bank was okay with that, so they had to come up with another $75,000 plus closing costs plus rehab. They were planning on coming up with $200,000 until they found an investor that I hooked them up with, and the investor said, oh no, have you seen what's going on in this area? We need to completely change the tenant base. She decided to give them more money. How much more did she decide to give them? About $145,000 more, because she wanted to change the entire tenant base and the tenant profile at the property. So what did she do? She came in, the outside looks exactly the same. The interior, they changed it from the carpeting to laminate wood flooring. Remember that beautiful kitchen? They put in a brand new kitchen. There's a better shot of the flooring in the living area. Remember the beautiful bathroom? She over-improved it. They went in, they put real ceramic tile, 12-inch ceramic tile, not only on the bathroom walls, but also on the bathroom floors. Remember that beautiful bathroom? I know. Were you disappointed to see it go? Oh. Very easy maintenance. Just go in with the pressure washer. They put in a new laundry room, all new laundry equipment, painted it. By the way, they raised the rent from $4.25 to $640. Their plan in their numbers to get it up to a $1,050,000 value was based on raising the rent to $550. After they fixed up the units, they went out and they started charging $550, and the first couple people that came in that were qualified took them. So what did that tell them? The rents were too low. They raised them to $575. They rented very quickly. $600, they rented quickly. $625, they rented quickly. They didn't hit any feedback, or not feedback, but pushback, until they got to about $650. Then they dropped the rent slightly to $640, filled the sucker up. Their goal was to actually hold on to this property for a really long period of time. After they got done with the rehab, they were going to refinance it and then hold it for long-term cash flow. They decided, because the market was so hot, somebody came to them and said, do you want to sell it? And they just put it on the market for an exorbitantly high rate, $1.3 million. 2 weeks later, they had an offer for $250,000, blah, 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 sorry. They put it on the market for $1.3 million. A couple weeks later, they had an offer for $1,250,000. Guess what Doug and Peggy and Mike said? Sold. They sold it and split a $300,000 profit. Here's Peggy. I'm not going to show you Peggy's testimonial, because basically she just says that she's gone to the class, the boot camp that I do, 3 times. She loves the class, of course. She's also got another 6 deals that she was working on. And she's not doing any of them. She's the investor that's partnering with other students to pay them. By the way, Mike and Doug, in order to get this deal done, they each put in $1,000. $2,000 total. How did they get the deal done, right? Because Peggy put in the $345. Why did they need the $2,000? because they paid an attorney to write up a partnership agreement and an operating agreement so the three of them could partner together legally and actually do all the work and make the money. $2,000. So you got Dave who put in nothing. You got Doug and Mike who each put in $1,000. Okay, here's Ron. Ron went out. I'm not going to show you the numbers because you've already seen those. But Ron went out. He found a great property in Pottstown, Pennsylvania. Anybody know where Pottstown is? Okay, Pottstown is about 20-ish miles northwest of Philadelphia. Nice little bedroom community out there. He bought it for $1.375 million. He got a Freddie Mac loan for $1,035,000, 75%, 25-year amortization, 4.5% interest for 15 years. It balloons in 15. It's amortized over 25 years, but it's balloons in 15. I supplied him the credit partner, also helped him raise $400,000 to buy the property. Ron had the money, so he actually put in $30,000 of his own money for this particular deal because it also helped other people want to invest with him. And he also signed as a credit partner. Here's the goal for the property. The other two properties actually had some issues with them. They actually needed some work, and they were going to raise the rent. Ron doesn't really have any of the issues on his property. Here's the exterior. I love all brick because there's not a whole lot that you need to do to it. It also has 13 garages on the property. One of them is being used by a resident. The other 12 are being rented by businesses and people that live in the neighborhood because it's cheap storage. They were only charging $50 a month for these single-car garages. We're now raising it to $75, and next year it's going up to $100 per garage. The interior, if you notice the interior of the units, are actually in pretty decent shape. Two-tone paint, really nice, well-kept. 11 of the 31 have already been upgraded. If you notice, there's cherry wood cabinets and new appliances. So we're going to go through systematically and do the rest of the other 20 of them to bring up the rents. Okay, I don't know if you guys know this or not, but Robert Kiyosaki, how did he get out of the rat race? He did not write Rich Dad, Poor Dad to get out of the rat race. He was already out of the rat race. How did he get out of the rat race? He owned 2 apartment buildings that were generating $7,000 a month in passive income. That's what allowed him to quit his job and write the book. By the way, did you guys know that the book is actually the instruction manual for Cash Flow 101? Did you guys know that? I had no idea. I actually had dinner with Robert Kiyosaki back in April. We went on a cruise, big cruise, but I actually got to eat dinner with him. My wife and I got to join him and a couple other people at his table. And we learned a lot of interesting facts about him. And that was one of the things that we learned was that he was trying to sell Cash Flow 101 and it wouldn't sell. So he wrote an instruction manual, which was Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And now, of course, as they say, the rest is history, because how many books has he sold? Tens of millions? Yeah, he did a 20-minute spot on Oprah, a 20 or 30-minute spot on Oprah, and when it was done, she said she walked up to him and said, I just sold 1 million books for you. And he went, wow, because back then he was self-publishing. He was making $5 a book. He made $5 million in half an hour. Oprah's now his new best friend. By the way, before he went on Oprah, his wife called him up and said, Oprah wants you on her show. And he said, who's Oprah? Pretty funny. Anyway, how do you take back control? Well, one of the things, if you notice here, this is actually a fortune cookie that I got when I was visiting one of my properties in Florida, because I can visit my properties and write it off as a business trip, so I go visit my property as often as I possibly can. Went out and got a fortune cookie, and it said, write your own story, don't let others write it for you. And I thought that was very profound. Write your own story, don't let others write it for you. And I started thinking about how, before I got into real estate full-time, how I had a regular corporate job. And somebody told me when to come into work, when to go home, when I had to travel, where I had to travel. By the way, does anybody here still have a corporate job where you actually have to fill out a request to actually go on vacation that you've earned? Yeah, I had one of those too. Now, I still have to ask if I can go on vacation. It's a lot easier conversation, though, when you're sleeping with your boss. So that's all I'm saying. How do you guys take back control of your destiny? That's why you're here, right? You want to change your destiny, yes? Take control of your lives. That's why you're here to learn from Daryl and Imran, right? Well, so I've got a one-day workshop coming up on Saturday, November 11th. It is all day. Unlike other workshops you've been to, it actually is a workshop. Daryl, you went to the workshop, right? Where was your partner that day? Don't answer that question. It actually is a workshop. I give you a 50-page workbook. I actually ask you to bring a calculator. By the way, did you guys know that you can make phone calls with your calculators now? It's amazing technology. Bring your phone, bring your calculator, bring whatever you want, bring a pen or pencil. I'm going to go through a lot of this stuff that I talked about. I went through it very, very quickly. I'm actually going to stop at certain points during the one-day workshop, and I'm going to have you go to a workbook and actually complete some of the problems in the book so you actually learn this stuff and it sinks in and it stays with you for a very, very, very long period of time. I also want you to bring your own live deals. I don't care if they're in San Diego or up in Los Angeles or over in Denver or Orlando or Texas or wherever they are. Go out and find 1 or 2 properties that you think you would like to invest in. Bring those with you to the one-day workshop because in the afternoon on Saturday, we're going to go through and look at as many of those as we possibly can. And just like tonight, if we don't get through your property because we run out of time, I will personally stick around and continue to go through all of your properties until we go through every single one of them. And I've had some classes that I've been out. Well, Daryl's been with us at the boot camp. There's been nights we're up until 9, 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night. Networking, talking, going through deals and all kinds of stuff. Having a great time learning and learning and learning. So I will continue to stick around and work with you guys if you want to stick around and do that kind of stuff. Okay? So here's what's going on with the workshop. If you're an SDIC member, it's $97. But wait. There's more. You can add a guest for free if you sign up tonight. So it's $97 for 2 of you, you and a guest. Here's some other registration bonuses for those of you that sign up. By the way, not just sign up, but those of you that come on Saturday. One of the bonuses I have is a CD called Why I Love Apartment Buildings. It goes through a lot of the stuff that I talked about tonight, but in a lot more detail, and why I love apartments and how you can create your own wealth by buying properties and controlling your NOI. You learn how to control your NOI, you can control your own destiny, and that's what this one is. It's a little bit over an hour CD. There's another CD that I interviewed 2 of my students. Daryl talked about this earlier. They bought a property. It was the 3rd time they put an offer in on the property. They didn't want to buy a property. They wanted to buy the right property at the right price under the right terms. The first time wasn't accepted. The second time, they were just beat out by somebody else. Then a month later, it went back on the market. They went back a 3rd time, put in their offer based on their numbers, and they got the property. They bought it for about $450,000, and a couple months ago, they sold it for about $935,000. The third bonus, for those of you that come on Saturday, sign up and come on Saturday, is my quick analysis software. It's worth $179. There's the software. It's actually very, very powerful. You can't really see it here because it's really, really small, but there's 6 columns. There's pro forma, actual, what if 1, what if 2, what if 3, and what if 4. Basically what you do is you take the numbers that the seller gives you, put them into pro forma and actual, then you go to the what if columns and you say, okay, what if I raise or lower rent? What if I raise or lower vacancy? What if I raise or lower the expenses? There's also a center section here in the middle that you can put in financing terms from lenders or from sellers. I will give that to you for free for coming on Saturday the 11th.
I do have to say I use that tool all the time, and it is super powerful, but also really easy to use.
It's easy to use, and I will show you how to use it on Saturday. Again, if you sign up tonight, it's $97 for 2 people. If you wait until after tonight, it's going to be $97 for 1. If you want to add a guest, you still get a savings, but it's gone up to $47 for a guest. But wait. Saturday, November 11th is Veterans Day. So as a thank you for all you veterans, if you want to sign up and come on Saturday, you can come on me for free. You're welcome. So thank you guys. Thank you. Oh, thank you guys for doing what you do. So, and that doesn't have to be tonight. So if you have other people that you would like to, that you know in the military, that would like to learn how to change their lives by investing in apartments or other types of commercial property, let them know. Get a hold of SDIC. Can they sign up online at SanDiegoInvestmentClub.com? Or should they call you? San Diego Investment Club at gmail.com.
And they can message us right through that.
Or you can message them and get signed up. But you have to sign up in advance. Don't show up on Saturday and expect to get in. You can, but here's the other thing. You need to sign up by next Thursday at 5 o'clock, because if you don't, I cannot guarantee that you will have a workbook. Because we actually print the workbooks on demand based on the registration. So you have to sign up by next Thursday. And again, as long as you sign up, if you're a veteran, you can come for free on me as a thank you. All right, I do have also, for those of you that are interested, I do have a home study course and I have a boot camp. So the home study course, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on this because I know it's getting late. And I know that if you guys want to stick around, I can answer questions about it. But there's a hard copy that comes with 13 CDs. 8 of them are audio CDs. There's a form CD that has a bunch of forms in it that I use to make offers or to add addendums to the backs of contracts. There's a software CD that has the quick analysis software and about 6 or 7 other pieces of software that I use to analyze properties before and after I go under contract. There's also 2 video tutorial CDs. One shows you how to use the quick analysis software that I had up earlier, and one shows you how to use another big piece of software called the APOD software. The 13th CD is actually a bonus CD. How many of you guys like to listen to stuff on your iPad, your iPhone, your Android? Okay, I'm not a techie person, but according to my tech guy that put this together, you take the 13th CD, you pop it into your computer, and hit a couple buttons, and somehow it takes all the audio files. There's 8 audio CDs. It just uploads them all to your tablet or your iPhone or whatever, and guess what? You can listen to me everywhere. Okay? So the home study course, it goes through all 7 steps that you can use to buy any type of property. The first thing you need to do is find the property. So I teach over 18 different ways to find them. Then there's the quick analysis. I can teach you how to analyze a property in 5 to 10 minutes. Now when you first start up, it's not going to be 5 or 10 minutes. It might take you 45 to 60 minutes. But the more you analyze, the more you get used to the software, you can analyze them in 5 to 10 minutes to know whether or not it's a good deal that you want to put an offer in on, or you want to pass and go find something else. There's the software. Again, I'll teach you more about that on Saturday. I also show you how to put in offers. Offers to get you noticed by the seller. One of the things I will teach you on Saturday is it's better to offer terms than to worry about the price. I will show you a deal on Saturday where I actually raised the price and doubled my return on my investment because it incentivized the seller to give me the terms that I wanted. Also, financing. I'm going to show you 12 different ways. You can either listen to the 12 different ways in here, or you can come to the boot camp. So in here, on the CDs average about 45 to 60 minutes of audio. The class averages over 30 hours of information over 4 days when you actually come to the live course, because it actually allows us to go into each category. Finding properties, analyzing properties, making offers, finance, due diligence, negotiations, all those things much, much deeper. As a matter of fact, I spend almost a full day doing nothing but financing and all the different ways you can finance your deals. And it doesn't just have to be on apartments. You can take all the stuff that I'm teaching you and use it on single-family homes, mobile home parks, strip malls, storage centers, anything you want. I'll tell you right now, there's a lot of stuff in due diligence. I spend about 4 or 5 hours on due diligence. There's a lot of stuff that you could learn that you probably didn't even know you should be doing with your single-family homes before you start buying them. And that's stuff that you get taught in the boot camp. Yes? Daryl? Right, Daryl?
Oh, correct, yeah.
Daryl, did you go to the boot camp?
I sure did.
How was it?
It was incredible.
Okay.
I really like the follow-up, too, after the boot camp. That was awesome.
Yes. I haven't talked about that yet. So these are all the different things that we go through. I also talk about other bonus topics. Here's another testimonial from Michael. Michael came to the class. He actually started here in San Diego, but now he's actually up in Steamboat Springs. He spent over $100,000 in financial workshops and boot camps, and my class was one of the 2 best that he has ever taken, and I don't charge anywhere close to $100,000. I offer a double your money back guarantee at the boot camp that no one else offers because you guys don't know me. How many of you, before you started getting emails from Daryl, had even heard of me? 1, 2, cool. What have you guys heard? Good education? Excellent. Well, because if you heard bad things, you probably wouldn't be here, right? So one of the things that I offer, because most people have never heard of me, I don't do any marketing. All of my marketing is done through real estate group owners. They actually have a thing called the National Association of Real Estate Investors. And they get together once a year in June, and they do what they call their mid-year conference, and they talk about people like me that teach on apartments and wholesaling and fixing and flipping and storage facilities and all these other things. And I'm very proud of my reputation. It's the only thing I have. And I'm going to maintain it. In the last 4 years, I've been voted one of the #1 or #2 educator in the world, not in the world, but people that come are part of national RIA. And it's not, again, it's not just on apartments. It's on everybody that stands up on these stages and teaches people. Because most of the time, people are frustrated with coming to a class and all they do is get sold the next class. If you come to this class, then the real good stuff will be in the next one as soon as you pay for it. I don't do any of that stuff. Certainly I have other classes, but I'll tell you right now, when you come to the boot camp, the 4-day boot camp, you're going to leave with a ton of information and a great education. And most people, when they leave on Sunday, their brains are about to explode because there's so much content. They're not actually used to getting content. So what I do is I tell you at the end of the 4-day boot camp, if you tell me it wasn't worth your time and it wasn't worth your trouble and you didn't learn anything and of value, I will give you double your money back. Or you already want your double your money back? Wait, you got to come first.
Where's the class going to be held at?
Good question. All you have to do is come all 4 days. At the end of the 4 days, if you tell me it wasn't worth it, by the way, I've been offering this for 7 years and no one has asked me for double their money back. Why? Because that's why I give you as much content as I can. Because you imagine a whole class coming and saying, your class sucked, we want our money back. I would go broke really, really fast. So it holds my feet to the fire to make sure I give you an awesome education. Okay, Kiyosaki, you saw Kiyosaki's made money with apartments. This guy, whether you love him or hate him, this is not a political commentary. His very first deal outside from Daddy's Shadow was a 100-unit property that he flipped in Cincinnati. Okay, I showed you how my students have made money. Now it is your turn. So if you go to my website and buy everything individually, the home study course by itself is $995. The boot camp by itself is $995. I'm also, as an extra bonus, whether you can or can't come on Saturday, the 11th, I'm going to give you 6 one-hour videos. These are downloaded to you. So even if you get the hard copy, those of you that buy the hard copy because you like CDs, you like to be able to touch them and that kind of stuff, even if you buy the hard copy, the one-day workshop downloads are not part of the hard copy. So I'm going to send you all the downloads electronically. So you have those to watch and look at again and again and again. As an extra bonus, what Daryl just talked about is the follow-up program. A lot of people were taking, you've been to classes, you go, you take information, what do you do with the books when you're done? Right? You just put them on the shelf. You don't know what to do with them. So one of the things that I add that's included at no extra charge is I do a 7 to 8 week follow-up coaching program where I give you step-by-step instructions. You're working with a small group of people from your class to be accountable to each other, where you take what I taught you and you actually go out and put it into action. The idea is at the end of the 7 or 8 week period, some of you should actually have properties with accepted LOIs, letters of intent, going to contract. Would that be okay? I mean, the idea is if you're coming to a class, you should be taking the information that you get and going out and putting it into usage, right? That's the whole idea. The idea is to get you moving, taking action, putting in offers, and hopefully having something under contract. So here's what you get. For basically about $650 per person, you get two for one. You get all this stuff. You get a copy. You get one hard copy between the two of you, but you both get the downloads. Got it? You both get a seat at a boot camp. You don't even have to come to the same boot camp if you don't want to come to the same boot camp. You both get the 6-hour, 1-hour downloads of the one-day workshop. You both get to participate in the 7-week follow-up coaching. Less than $650 per person. I'll tell you right now, there's a lot of people who charge $650 just for the home study course. Not only do you get the home study course, you actually get a 4-day intense boot camp and the 7-week follow-up. I will tell you right now, hands down, there is no better value on the market at all. And I guarantee it. So it's not just you taking my word for it. At the end of the 4 days, if you tell me it wasn't worth your time, what am I going to do? I will give you double your money back. But wait. Here's all the different boot camps to answer your question. Where are the boot camps? These are all the different ones that I have scheduled. By the way, as I mentioned, I don't pick the markets pick me. These are real estate groups that have heard about me through the grapevine and they've invited me to come speak at their location. Most of them are inviting me to come back for a second, third, or fourth time. I've been doing this since 2006, 11 years, almost 12 years now. And these are all the ones that are scheduled, and there's more to follow. Washington, D.C., we just lined that one up for the second time. I'll be doing that sometime in 2018. One of the things that I do recommend is because there's so much information in the boot camp, I do recommend you come back a second time. And I recommend that you go to one of the areas where you think you might want to invest, because that way you can meet other people that are right there in that market that you could potentially partner with as money partners, credit partners, experienced partners. They're right there. They understand and know the market. I talked about your double your money back guarantee. Here's another one. If you want to save some more money for less than $550 per person, instead of getting the hard copy, you can both have the downloads only. So you can save $200 by not getting the hard copy. It's only $1,094. And both of those, you can add a guest for free. I also offer a second guarantee. The second guarantee is on the home study course itself. You have 1 full year to take all this stuff and put it into action. And if you tell me at the end of a year it wasn't worth your time or trouble and you went through and you actually did what I taught you to do, you can send me an email or give me a call and I will give you 100% of your money back. This expires, the 100% money back guarantee expires in 1 year, 365 days. The double your money back guarantee expires whenever you come to the boot camp. I don't care if it's next year or 2019, or 2020, whenever it is, it expires at the end of whichever boot camp you come to. The prices that I just gave you are going to go up. They're locked in from now until the start of the workshop on Saturday the 11th. Once the workshop starts at 9 a.m. on Saturday the 11th, both of these go up $200. So the hard copy version goes up to $14.94 and the soft copy version goes up to $12.94. If you sign up tonight, though, you can come on Saturday for free. So you save an extra $100. Unless, of course, you're a veteran. And then you can save more. You guys are really quiet. You've ever noticed when you start talking about money, people get really quiet? It's okay. I'm not going to come pickpocket you. That's it. That's all I got. Any questions? Thank you. Any other questions I can answer for anybody? Because we actually got, oh, look, we got 2 more hours to go. Any questions? Daryl?
So your students that are investing in Colorado and Pennsylvania, they don't necessarily live in those states or in those cities, right?
That is correct. I actually have a ton of students in California that invest in Ohio, Texas, Kansas, pretty much anywhere except California, because of the high cost of properties, plus that it's not very landlord friendly. It's very tenant friendly. And if you want to get somebody out of the property because they haven't paid, that can screw up all your cash flow. Yes, sir.
What did you say the website was again, sir?
Say that again?
What was the website again?
The website for what?
To look up for more information?
To actually sign up for the class?
Was there a website for it?
So yeah, what you need to do is go to San Diego Investment Club. Are you talking about the one-day workshop or the boot camp package? Okay, if you want to learn about the boot camp package, you need to go back and talk to Daryl in the back or somebody in the back, and they'll help you out with that. So they don't have it set up on the website as far as I know. You just go back and chat with them or give them a call. You can go to San Diego Investment Club at Gmail, or you can just go chat with them now or give them a call next week. So again, if you sign up tonight, you get to come on Saturday for free. If you don't sign up tonight and you sign up after tonight but before Saturday at 9 a.m., it's $12.94, $10.94. After that, it goes up even more.
Where Saturday?
Where's it going to be on Saturday?
To be determined, but right here in San Diego somewhere.
Somewhere in the greater San Diego area.
Yeah, it'll probably be in Carlsbad.
What happened to Carl's Good? Questions? Yes, sir.
What years were those 3 examples bought and sold?
What year were the 3 examples bought and sold? So the one with Dave was bought in, they were all fairly recent. That one was like 2012 and he still owns it. 2012, 2013, he still owns it. Pottstown was bought in January of 2016. And then Doug and Mike Steele in Aurora, that was also bought, that was like 2014, and they sold it in 2016. So one bought and sold, the other two still owned. Still owned and cash flowing. Yes?
What percentage of deals are like those?
What percentage of deals like those? Actually, that dramatic, there's probably maybe 10%, 10, 15, 20% that are that dramatic. A lot of them, you can do this. That's one of the things that you'll learn on Saturday, is that all you have to do is raise the rent. Think about the low cap rates here in California. What a lot of people don't understand is if you raise the rent, right? I showed you properties that literally had stuff that needed to be done to them. But if you took a property that was, let's say, 100 units and raised the rent $50 a month, which is pretty simple to do here in Southern California, right? Drop in the bucket. So $50 times 100 units, $5,000 a month times 12 months, $60,000 a year. $60,000 a year divided by a 10% cap rate would be a $600,000 increase in value. In here, though, what's the cap rate? 5, right? 4 or 5. So it's 5, it's twice that. You can literally take up the value of your property $1.2 million bucks. And I know for some people, when they're trying to wrap their head around that, they're like, well, that sounds too good to be true. But the fact is, people like me, I'll tell you a secret, people like me, we don't buy apartments. Even though I own 1,700 units, I don't buy apartments. You know what I buy? I buy businesses that generate a stream of income. And people that are like me that are buying streams of income, they're looking for a certain rate of return in certain markets. And if you can raise your stream of income in that market, they will pay you more money for it. Because that's what investors do. Investors are looking for opportunities that generate a stream of income. Okay? Any other questions? Yes?
How do we sign up for the November 11th class?
How do you sign up? You go talk to Daryl and the crew in the back, and they will get you signed up for November 11th. Any other questions? Matter of fact, if you guys want to keep asking questions, I will go standing back here for those of you guys that want to get signed up. Guys, I will stick around and continue to answer your questions. Thank you so much for listening to me for the last hour and a half. I really appreciate it.